If you're an online business owner and you're thinking of hiring overseas for your staff, it's still a very good time to hire from the Philippines. I'm Karla Singson of Proximity Outsourcing, and I'm Filipina. I actually grew up in the Philippines, and this is why I have served hundreds of business owners and have given them guidance about hiring from the Philippines. I have helped these businesses grow. I have helped these founders and business owners gain a lot of their free time back, a lot of peace of mind, and a lot of anxiety off of their plate, and a lot of busy work that don't have to be in their calendar. I've helped them with all of that. And if you're still wondering if it's a good time or if it's a good idea to hire from the Philippines, let me give you a few reasons why. Number one, definitely top tier English communication skills. So a lot of people, when they meet me, they think that I grew up in the States or I started traveling at a very young age, but actually I grew up poor, just like a lot of people in the Philippines, because it is a developing country. I actually started traveling in my late 20s, but I grew up speaking English because in the Philippines, it is the main medium of instruction. So since I was in kindergarten and then elementary school, high school, and even in college, we have always spoken English. We have used the English language in school, in our books, in learning. And of course, I have a slight advantage in speaking because I took up public speaking in college, but really that is less than 30% of my learning years in school, my college years. And so it's really, really easy to find highly educated Filipinos that speak really good English. Of course, it's not going to be the same based on their background, their schools, and what they studied. And of course, their expertise will not be the same. But if you're looking to hire elsewhere where you want people to speak like really good English, they can understand a very neutral accent, or they can speak in a neutral accent or as close to the American accent as possible. And this is because all of the world just consumes American media, right? There is not a preference towards the American accent in terms of just a personal preference. It is because everyone watches American media. And so most people understand and relate to that accent better. And I would say Filipinos are very exposed to this culture and to this accent. Number two reason is in the Philippines, we have a deep specialized talent pool. So one thing that makes the Philippines different from a country like America, for example, is that because we are a developing country, you have to go to college to really increase your probability or your propensity for succeeding. And so a lot of families, a lot of parents, even if they don't make a lot of money, they save up money or they really strive to get scholarships for their children, basically just like what my parents did. So I went on a special scholarship so that my parents only had to pay the miscellaneous fees and not my full college tuition. One of my sisters also got a scholarship, and I think she also took up some sort of a part-time work in school, assisting in the library or something like that. But yes, we have to strive harder because college is not cheap in these countries. It may sound cheaper when you look at the amount, maybe in US dollars. It may look cheaper compared to going to college in the States or in Australia or in the UK, but for our country, it is still expensive. But then so many kids still try to get to college, and so many parents still really, really work extra hard to get their kids into college. And so there are a lot of specialized talent that come out of really, really good universities. But the way that we do it in my company, in Proximity Outsourcing, is that we only hire from certain cities, from certain universities, and from certain areas with a particular level of development and urbanization, so that we can really get the best out of this deep specialized talent pool. Not to mention, Philippines, despite being a small country, actually has a population of about 100 million people. And so you have a lot of options to really find these very talented people, these smart project managers, these smart client success managers, basically the positions that we hire for, even super creative video editors, graphic designers, and talented marketing and managerial talent. So you're gonna have a lot of options. You just have to know how to hire them, how to test them, how to interview them. And if you want to learn more about that, definitely click like and click subscribe so that you can get the first dibs on all of my videos in this YouTube channel. In this channel, I'll be talking about how to grow your online business through outsourcing, and you're going to learn a lot about hiring, recruitment, and managing your remote team. So, number 3 reason why you should hire your outsource team from the Philippines. We have a robust BPO infrastructure, or business process outsourcing infrastructure in the Philippines. We are used to a lot of international standards, ISO certified processes, and I think it was in the mid 2000s where we had a huge BPO boom where big companies in the United States of America such as AT&T, Verizon, PayPal, Western Union, and then afterwards other companies like Airbnb, they also started outsourcing their customer support and some parts of their customer success processes to the Philippines. And it is partly because of basically the reasons I shared with you earlier, and it's also because of the cost advantage. So as you know, in the Philippines, these starter call center in-person office roles, when it was starting out in the early or the mid 2000s, they were paying about $300 to $800 a month. But in that time, the minimum wage was about $200 a month in the Philippines. And so because of that difference, a lot of people got attracted to the idea of working for these BPOs, for these call center companies, and they were subjected to really rigorous training to US standards. They were subjected to accent training, and so they got better and better. They got more familiar with US standards, and honestly, it just kept booming after that. So of course, now wages are very different. You guys have seen how inflation has happened over the past 10 years, especially after the pandemic. So those amounts are just for comparison. That was the early 2000s or mid 2000s, I would say, but it's obviously not the same. I think the BPOs right now in mid 2020 to 2030, they're probably starting at $600 a month. That's the starting, that's the very like lowest level jobs right now that you can find in some of these BPO companies. And so to find a really good, even like a starter virtual assistant will probably run you about at least $1,500 a month, US dollars. And so the next reason why you should hire from the Philippines is the massive cost savings. And so especially in companies or in online businesses that are looking for managerial, creative, or marketing roles, this really makes a difference. Let me give you 3 easy examples. These are the top 3 candidates or the top 3 roles that we place in my company in Proximity Outsourcing. Number 1 is the project manager role. So if you look at Glassdoor.com, the average rate of a project manager based in the United States that can deliver their work virtually, by the way, they don't need to be in office, is $104,000 for the year. That is their salary for the year. And of course, you have to add their benefits. And of course, you have to add like HR protection or maybe some sort of legal insurance. And of course, you have to contribute to maybe their healthcare, their 401k, and all of those things. So that's just the base, $104,000. Compared to hiring from the Philippines with my company like Proximity Outsourcing, it's not even going to cost you over $30,000 a year. So that is a huge amount of savings that you will get simply by changing where you hire. They will speak very good English. They're just as talented. They're just as hardworking, maybe even a little bit more hardworking. I don't want to get canceled over here, but yeah, they will be just as good. They'll be continuously having to upskill themselves to they're very, very driven and inspired to work and impress their bosses. That's just our culture as Filipinos. We are a culture of service, and this is why we make such great nurses and hospitality workers, and I'm so proud of my people, honestly. Next example, let's talk about social media manager. The social media manager role, according to ChatGPT, average from at least 81,000 to 96,000 US dollars a year in base salary. Sometimes you still have to give bonuses because their role can have certain KPIs in terms of impressions, views, and even sales made through social media. Now, if you hire that from a company like ours at Proximity Outsourcing, it's not gonna cost you over $30,000 a year. So it's really a good deal. According to Glassdoor.com, regular social media managers make on average $81,000 to $96,000 a year. And once again, this is just the base salary. As you know, a social media manager can have a lot of bonuses depending on certain KPIs like views, impressions, leads, and even sales booked through social media. So for our company at Proximity Outsourcing, this will probably run you about 28 to 30,000 US dollars a year, and that's all in. That's including their healthcare, insurance, upskilling. We work with big certification companies like Social Media Pro. They get project management certifications, and they even get additional sales training if you want your social media managers to learn how to reply to inquiries and book appointments through the DMs. So you really got a great deal by just hiring overseas, and honestly, it is even the same quality, and they might even provide you with more opportunities for expansion because of those savings. Last example is a video editor. So in the United States, this work or this job starts at $75,000 a year, and that's if they are a newbie video editor. This is probably like a fresh grad or maybe someone who just wants to try out video editing as a career, and maybe they just know very, very basic video editing. Some of the higher paid video editors in the States make about probably 45 bucks an hour, and of course, depending on how much you need, whether you need 20 hours a week or you need someone full-time, this could easily be a six-figure job as well. Now, if you hire from a place like the Philippines, you can get a lot of really experienced, talented video editors for just under $30,000 a year. So there's definitely a lot of cost savings, and honestly, that's another opportunity that you can really tap into, hiring offshore and outsourcing to the Philippines. Number 5 benefit of outsourcing to the Philippines is scalability and flexibility on demand. So in the Philippines, it is very common to hire freelancers in places such as Fiverr or Upwork, and even finding them on LinkedIn, Facebook groups, or Indeed. But then again, you have to be careful about dealing with freelancers. You definitely don't know these people, so get your contract prepared, try to make it as foolproof as possible, and try your best to protect your intellectual property, your confidential information, because you're outsourcing all on your own. But of course, if you work with an outsourcing company, just like our company or any other outsourcing company, you definitely get a little bit more protection. And also, these companies can help you with the demands of your business. If you want to go up or down in terms of hours, if you need 30 hours a week now and then 40 hours a week next month, and then maybe 20 the month after that, a lot of companies provide that flexibility. In my company, we provide month-to-month upgrades or downgrades, and we really just want you to pay for the hours that you need and to give you that amount of flexibility in your business, because we feel like that will just serve you better. Now, if you're working with a freelancer, it can be as flexible as you just giving them a project at a time. And honestly, that works with some people. That works with a lot of entrepreneurs who are just starting and they don't want to commit to a lot of hours. But if you feel like you need at least 10 hours a week of focused work from an independent contractor or someone that you just want to be handling your projects on a consistent basis, because someone doing projects for you on a per project basis can say no to you because they're busier this month, and maybe because you're just not their priority because you're not their regular client. So if you feel like you need at least 10 hours a week from a specific role, my advice is to just go with an outsourcing company that can help you with the recruitment, onboarding, management, and even quality assurance of the results that you're gonna get from these outsourced remote professionals. And last benefit of hiring or outsourcing from the Philippines is the 24/7 availability and of course the time zone leverage. So as you guys have already known from this video earlier, is I talked about the large BPO boom in the Philippines, which means that there are a lot of night shift or graveyard workers, and they're already used to this lifestyle. So don't feel bad about having, maybe you might be thinking that you're forcing someone to work at night because you're paying more than what their day job could have paid them. But honestly, a lot of people in the Philippines, just like my team at Proximity Outsourcing, they're really used to working at night. And some of them even make jokes that they can't sleep at night anymore, even during the weekends. This is just their life. And we also work with a lot of parents, moms, dads, single dads, and they have shared with us that this arrangement is actually very beneficial for their family. If they work at night, and then in the morning after their work, they can assist their kids, have breakfast with them, send them to school. And then while their kids are in school, they go to sleep. And so honestly, I'm not a parent yet, but that sounds like a pretty good day. And if you're making more money compared to a regular corporate job in the Philippines, and you have access to these amazing fast growth businesses, and they train you and you work according to their standards, and you get great healthcare, great insurance from working with a company like ours, and if you have a great boss, honestly, that's not a very bad deal. And this is also one of the reasons why we have grown exponentially over the past few years, because more and more are realizing that, oh wow, it's an amazing place to hire. And we can hire for their time zone in the Philippines. You can, of course, still hire people that will do a regular 9 to 5 job on the Philippine time zone. You can hire people that will work somewhere in between in the US time zone. And you can also hire people that will work on the US time zone, no problem. In fact, we have clients that hire 3 contracts so that they can cover a 24/7 type of support for their clients, for their customers, because they just want to give that type of experience. For that company, it took us 2 to 3 weeks to find 3 people that will handle their 24/7 customer success. And honestly, it was such a great experience for us. It was such a great experience for them, and they definitely believe in the Filipino talent. So if you have any other questions about hiring from the Philippines, feel free to drop it in the comments. If you have good or bad experiences, I'm happy to hear them out as well. Or if you need any advice, I'm also happy to help out. Now, if you want more advice about growing your business through outsourcing, whether that's the Philippines, Latin America, or everywhere else, please hit like and subscribe, and you're gonna have first dibs on my video in this YouTube channel.